Well, start off with the. I think I did a request for an interview when I saw the video for 1066. Um, how important is that date for for England and for Great Britain?
Well, it's what everybody's taught at school, 1066, William the Conqueror. Um, yeah, it's a big date. And I did a song with a man and map called Saxons and Vikings.
Hmm.
And I thought, I wrote some of the lyrics for that song. So I thought, man, I could probably write one about 1066. 1066 is important because the king at the time beat the Vikings. The last Viking army was defeated in 1066. And then 2 months later, he went down to battle with William the Conqueror, who obviously was another Viking, a bit removed. But yeah, and lost. So it's a big date in England, 1066.
And what is for you? Because the band is also called Saxon. What is history? How important is history to you?
Well, it's a long time ago now, but yeah, history is very important to me. I mean, I love history, and I'm a bit of a history buff. So yeah, I love history. I use it a lot in my lyrics. It's very interesting. There's only so many songs you can sing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So we're not 20, we're not 24 anymore. So yeah, I think the history side of it's good. I mean, not all the songs are history, but I would say at least 70% of them are based on historical or sort of supernatural things like vampires and stuff. But anything that interests me, anything that comes out my brain that is interesting, then I'll use.
What is for you? What is then for you the importance of history? Is it lessons to be learned, or is it just nice
I
stories?
think I
Or
think there's always lessons to be learned from history, definitely, especially with wars and things. I mean, it's there's a lot of lessons to be learned, really. I mean, there's a lot of evil being done over the years, and I think we need to learn from that. And but yeah, it's one of them things. It's what we live with on a day-to-day basis.
if you can say, well, let's go back to the song 1066. What is a lesson that can be learned from that event?
Well, I think what the lesson is that from I think the lesson is there's always been war, hasn't there? Especially in Europe, there's always been war here. I don't think there's ever been a time when there wasn't a war. So we live in various times of war, and I think the lesson is to stop. Is to stop doing that and try and get it together. But it's if it's going to happen, I don't know whether it's going to happen or not. But the history side of it, maybe in another 50 years, other bands will be singing about our history. You know, who
Could
knows?
be.
Who
Yeah,
knows? Yeah.
could be. Well, you say history and supernatural things, but there's also another story, a song that you wrote. I mean, the lyrics. There's something in Roswell.
Yeah, well, again, that's sort of, I suppose in some respects that's mysterious because there's no proof. I mean, people keep saying there's proof, but there isn't. There isn't any base unless Trump's going to release some, secret documents that nobody's seen. Then I think there is something going on there. Roswell is very famous. It's the first Roswell. The crash in Roswell is the first time really that people became aware of UFOs. So I've been to Roswell. It's an interesting place. And yeah, it's good to sing about. Really, a lot of fans really believe, that there are UFOs. So that song sort of kindles some interest in people's minds, I think.
Do you believe it that actually that a flying saucer crashed there with aliens on board?
I think I probably do. Given yeah, maybe 51% of me believes it's true. The other 49% is like, definitely something happened there.
Yeah, because interesting, because I think a local newspaper, they reported immediately, they reported in print that actually the flying saucer
They did.
had crashed.
Yeah, and they
And afterwards
also,
it was a weather balloon.
yeah, well, also there was photographs of these metal pieces of metal with the different sort of mathematical things on there, which that pretty soon got covered up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think probably there was something crashed there. I would imagine. You
Yeah.
know, I hope there was. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Why,
Yeah.
why, why do you hope?
Because it's nice to have something to find out something's there that we didn't know was there before. I think it's like all the conspiracy theories and things. It'd be nice if you could put them to rest finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
But
I don't.
what do
I
you
think
think?
if we found out there was UFOs, I think a lot of people couldn't handle it though.
No, but the thing is, well, we talked about war, that the lesson of 1066 is that there's always been war.
Yeah.
What do you think, if the knowledge is there for mankind that there are actually are aliens, they exist? What do you think it will do to the to the belief that that we actually are one race, the human race? So maybe less war, or is
Well,
it?
I don't know really. I mean, they're all philosophical questions. These aren't they? It's I mean, if one thing leads to another, I mean, there's so many secrets, aren't there, that we don't know. So it's all conjecture and what you think personally. I mean, I think that's what it is. And I think if there are UFOs, you know, they haven't really helped us so far, are they? Have they? So they're probably not going to help us in the future either. So
No, but I'm,
I think we're pretty much on our own. We have to sort it out ourselves, really.
yeah. Well, I went through your all the albums that you've released, and I've written down the date. I mean the years. Well, you've been pretty consistent. What kept you? What keeps you going? Actually, writing songs, writing lyrics, releasing albums. What is the drive?
Well, it's what we do. It's what we love doing. We love creating music, and we make the album, and then we go on tour with that album. And luckily, people are still loving our albums. So if people didn't love the albums, then we'd probably stop. So we're driven by our followers, really, our audience. That's what drives us, and it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. People are getting into the new albums and then getting into the old albums. So, our audience is regenerating all the time. We have the older fans from, the 70s and 80s, and we have a lot of younger fans from, between 14 to 28-year-old guys that are into the band as well. So it's a good thing, really, that the music goes round and round. And if we keep making great albums, then I think people will still be interested,
Do you have an explanation for why, well, even younger generations are getting into your music? Did they tell you why?
Well, I think a lot of young generation are getting into our style of music, which is very British. I think it's very British metal, like Maiden and Priest and Motorhead were. I think it's pretty. It's all bound up in that early 60s, 70s, Sabbathy, Zeppelin period. We're from the same metal, if you know what I mean. We're from the
Okay.
same cut. So I think it's interesting, the connection between all the British bands, especially heavy rock bands that have been around since the 60s.
Yeah. What do you think is then the lasting appeal of this type of music?
Well, I think for Saxon and probably for the bands from that 80s period, I think it's the mixture of melodic vocals and heavy music. I think that's the thing that I think the classic British metal is famous for.
Yeah.
You know.
And well, I think it's now, you started the band, I think, from, well, with Paul, but Paul doesn't tour with you anymore since, I think, 2023. What
Mhm.
is it like not touring with him anymore?
Uh, Well, it was a bit weird to start with, not having Paul around. But, we picked Brian. Brian's a perfect replacement, really, because he's very well known as well. He's a great guitarist and he can play Paul's parts very well. So, Brian and Paul talk regularly about different things. So, yeah, I mean, I think it works out really well. Paul decided that he didn't want to play, long tours and heavy metal music anymore, and went back to playing blues guitar. So, I suppose he's quite happy with the arrangement.
But do you still write music with it? I mean, is he still involved
Well,
in...
he sends me ideas. He
Okay.
does send me ideas, for songs. Whether I use them or not is all down to how good they are. But he sends me ideas, and we talk quite a bit with Paul.
Well, there's another song that I would like to talk to you about. It's what is the story behind the Kubla Khan and the Merchant of Venice? What is that story?
Well, it's about the first Marco Polo, really, visiting China. He was the first guy to document it, Marco Polo, and it's an interesting. I've read a couple of books about it, seen a few documentaries. It's quite interesting the way that China and their sort of civilization was discovered, and they were like years ahead of what we were doing back in the time. When they invented gunpowder, they invented silk. There's a lot of things that they had that we wanted.
You discussed Marco Polo and the interesting the development of China back then. What do you think then now with China and the new presidency of Trump? Is it something that you follow on a day-to-day basis?
No, not really. No, no. We do music.
Yeah.
It's that's our language. Music's our language.
Yeah.
So people come, people go, things change.
Yeah.
So I mean, you keep an eye on it, what's happening, but it's crazy.
It's crazy. The album has been released early 2024. What are the plans now for the near future for you? Is it still touring this album?
Well, no, we're writing. I've started writing the new album, writing lyrics and titles. The boys have sent me loads of ideas already, so I'm just making a short list of what music we should use. What style we should play in, what songs are slow, fast, medium. Good guitar riffs. So yeah, we're pretty far on. We'll probably start rehearsing the new album maybe June.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps maybe recording in January, February. So we'll probably have a new album out in late 2026.
Okay.
Is the
Sounds
plan.
good. If you look back on your albums, are there certain albums that are more favorite of yours for yourself?
More sacred? No, I don't think so. I think it's been a natural progression with our following and the fans with our music. Brian coming into the band added a little bit of a different dynamic to the music writing. So I think that was for a good thing. I think the new album Hellfire probably has been voted album of the year on quite a lot of sites and things. So obviously we struck a little bit of a good scene with that album. Good flow. So hopefully the next one will be just as good, if not better.
It should be better, of course.
Well, you can't always be better, but let's hope. Hellfire Damnation is going to be hard to beat. That's pretty perfect album, that I think.
If you listen now and go back to your first album, the album Saxon, what do you hear? What sort of person were you back then?
Well, pretty similar, really. I mean, a lot more sort of impatient and aggressive back then, obviously, because you want to make a mark, and you want your albums, we're very sort of going for it, really committed back in the 80s. We've just finished. We listened to the Wheels of Steel album quite a lot to try and get the same sort of feel live that we had back then, because we are playing it, all the way through back to back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's important to listen to the old albums, really.
Well, you've released many albums in the first few years. What drove you back then? Or was it all, well, the back catalog had been written previously prior to
No,
19?
I think it was management record company greed. They wanted they wanted more. I think they thought we were a bit of a flash in the pan, so they wanted us to make more albums quick.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just how it went, really. You know, it's just a time, just how it was in them days. I don't think people expected the British metal thing to last very long. But you know, it's lasted a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. And well, you've also influenced many bands from the States. What
Yeah.
was it like? Well, now in hindsight, that they acknowledge you a lot. Is it something that you're proud of, or is it just something
I
that's
think I think we should be proud. You know that I mean, lots and lots of bands are influenced by Saxon, not just by the music, just sometimes just by the attitude. You know, of never surrender, backs to the wall, and you know, and stand up and be counted, and all that sort of attitude.
yeah,
I think a lot of people are influenced by that and the music. You know, obviously, probably the biggest one is probably Metallica, but you know, a lot of those American bands, Pantera, you know, Slipknot. We've met all those guys at festivals and then they passed on tours, and they're all, you know, all sort of, you know, oh, you really influenced us. You know, we were really into the band. So yeah, it's really good actually to be able to talk to the guys that we influenced.
yeah. Well, can you? Is there one thing that they say how you influence them? Is it the attitude? Is it
No, I just think it's a general thing. You know that the thing that happened in 1980 in UK was very specific to that time. You know, it's a bit like what happened with Sabbath and Zeppelin in the you know late 60s, 70s. That was a new thing that happened there, and I think that the same thing happened in 1980 with. You know, there was Saxon, there was Maiden, there was Def Leppard, there was, you know, there was a lot of, you know, there was a lot of bands all coming out at that time because people were getting a bit sort of fed up with the punk thing. I
yeah.
think all the time, you know, so they wanted something new, and a lot of you know young people got into our music very quickly in 1980, and everybody else as well. You know, I mean, you have to remember Judas Priest and Motorhead and Whitesnake and all those bands had a big upsurge in the 80s. So it was a great time, really. It was a great time for music, I think.
Yeah. Last question because I have to stop. Oh, you're wearing a shirt of Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon.
Hmm.
Is that an album or maybe a band that influenced you?
I think Pink Floyd influenced everybody. If you like prog rock, I mean, I'm only wearing the shirt because I got it out of my suitcase. It's not particular. I'm not making a statement.
Okay.
It's just a shirt I've got. But yeah, I mean, it's yeah, a fantastic band. Really, really brilliant. I mean, you can't really fault that album. It's flawless. I think, from a musician's point of view, anyway, it's a brilliant album. Yeah. So yeah,
That's it. Okay. Well, thanks for your time, and
yeah,
looking forward to the new album within 1.5 years.
yeah, definitely. And let everybody know that. Tilburg's nearly sold out, so people need to buy their tickets pretty
Yeah,
quick, actually, down there. I think there's just maybe like 100 and something tickets left. So, yeah,
will
cool.
do. Thank you.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Ciao.